Today you're going to learn about how to solve an equation with variables on both sides. So if you'll follow along on your guided notes page and fill this in as I do. So step 1 is going to be distribute as needed. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Step 2 is going to be simplify each side of the equation. And you do that by combining like terms. Step 3 is going to be move all variable terms to one side, and we're going to add a statement here that says by performing the inverse operation. And then the last step is going to be solve the remaining two-step equation. So here's the first one that we're going to solve together. Always draw your river to make sure that you keep each side of the equation separate. You can see that step 1 is distribute. We don't have anything to distribute because we don't have any parentheses. Step 2 is simplify. If I look at this side of the equation, I have a variable term and a constant. This side I have a variable term and a constant. I cannot combine the 3y and the 5y because they are on different sides of the equation. That's why we put the river there, to show that we can only simplify on this side and then on this side. We can't combine things that are on opposite sides of the equation. So now I have a choice to make. I can either get rid of my constant term first or get rid of my variable term first. It doesn't matter. In fact, I may solve this one twice so you can see that it doesn't matter either way. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this 3y first. So I'm going to take 3y away from each side. It's a positive 3y, so I get rid of it by subtracting 3y. When I do that, I have 2y left on this side, minus 8 equals 12. Now, as it says in step 3, move all variable terms to one side, that's what I did by canceling out this 3y. So now I only have 2y on this side, and I just have a two-step equation that I can solve. I can add 8 to each side. 2y equals 20. I can divide both sides by 2, so y equals 10. Okay? I'm going to actually just solve this problem one more time and show you how it doesn't matter if you cancel out the variables first or the numbers. Do you see how I subtracted 3y here first? Well, I could have gotten rid of this minus 8 first. I can add 8, add 8. 5y equals 3y plus 20. Now I can subtract 3y from each side. 2y equals 20. Divide by 2, y equals 10. See how I got the same thing? There's a variety of other things I could have done. I could have subtracted 5y from each side. I could have subtracted 12 from each side, but either way that would have left me with negative numbers, and that's not very fun to work with. So I just made some smart choices. I saw that I had 5y and I had 3y, and that 5y was larger than 3y, so I decided to take the 3y away from each side. So as long as you are doing legal math, you are allowed to make different decisions. So you and a partner may not have the exact same steps in your solving, but you might both be right. Let's look at one where we do have to distribute. Go down and find number 6 on your paper. So the first step that my notes page says to do is distribute. So I'm going to distribute this 4w to both sides. 4 times 2w is 8w. 4 times minus 1 is minus 4. Negative 10 times w is negative 10. Negative 10w. Negative 10 times negative 5 is plus 50. So then I'm going to make a decision. I know that I want to get rid of some negatives here, so I'm going to add 10 to each side. Add 10w actually. 18w minus 4 equals 50 because that canceled out. Now I'm left with a two-step equation, and you all are great at those. Add 4 to each side. 18w equals 54. Divide by 18. I'm going to have to move over here, so w is going to equal 3. Now, I didn't show you the check on the first one, and we don't have a ton of room on our paper here, so you're allowed to check on your calculator, but you do need to check to know that you're right. So 2 times 3, because 4 times 2w, w is 3, 2 times 3 minus 1 equals negative 10 times 3 minus 5. Have to kind of squeeze it in there. So 4 times 2 times 3 is 6, 6 minus 1 equals negative 10 times 3 minus 5. 3 minus 5 is negative 2. So 4 times 6 minus 1 is 5. Negative 10 times negative 2 is 20. 4 times 5 is 20. 20 equals 20. So my answer checks out. Let me show you one more on the back. Let's look at problem number 10. The part that's different about problem number 10 than problem number 6 is this extra 2x. Do you see how I'm going to have to combine like terms after I distribute? That's going to use all 4 steps that we wrote down in our notes page. So let's do that. 8x minus 8 and then minus 2x. That part wasn't involved in the distributing, so I just leave it alone and bring it down. Now this is tricky. I have to distribute a minus sign to both parentheses. So minus x minus 50. Now, before I start solving, remember we don't cross the river, but I have 8x and 2x on the same side of the river, the same side of the equation. And it's actually a minus 2x. So positive 8x and minus 2x, those combine to make 6x. Minus 8 equals minus x minus 50. So now I have an equation with variables on both sides. I like to look and see that I have a 6x and I have a minus x. So I think, what's the easier one to cancel out? Well, I think it's the minus x, because when I add x to both sides, that gives me a positive 7x minus 8 equals negative 50, and that eliminates me having to deal with negative variables. If I had taken away 6x from each side, that would leave me with negative 7x on the other side, which isn't as easy to work with. So now I just have a two-step equation. So 7x equals negative 42. After I add 8 to each side, I divide by 7. 7 equals, x equals negative 6. Now I have to come down here and check. I start out with my original equation. 8 times the quantity negative 6 minus 1 minus 2 times negative 6 equals the negative of negative 6 plus 50. Just use my original equation. 8 times negative 7 minus negative 12 equals negative of negative 6 plus 50, 42. Negative 56, that's 8 times negative 7, plus 12 equals negative 42, and negative 56 plus 12 does equal negative, oops, I'm sorry, wait a minute, I messed up here. That's where your good mental math comes in. Maybe you checked that. Negative 6 plus 50 equals 44. I was thinking of the 42 up here. Equals 44. Negative 56 plus 12 equals negative 44. And negative 44 equals negative 44. So I know my answer is correct. So what you're going to do is work the rest of the problems on this guided notes page and check your answers to know that you're doing it correctly. And when you're finished with that, you'll have some more practice. This is something that just extends the skills we've already been working on just a little bit, but it takes a lot of practice to really get it right every time. Hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you on Wednesday.